Welcome to Jesus-Centric Life. I'm Donna. I'm here with Pastor Josh. And today's topic, today's topic is how to stay Christ-like in online discussions. Is it even possible? Now, when we were talking about today's topic, we always discuss it briefly. Pastor was like, I don't really bring a lot of expertise to this because I don't engage in online discussions. And for me, and it's because of something that you said to the staff. You were like, I think you said it during COVID. You were like, I really need you all not to engage in those kind of conversations because I would just rather you not, right? And I respected that. So I can tend to read them and sometimes cringe for whatever reason. I'm not going to say which side I fall on, but it can get hard because people can get tough on each other. And I think that's more of what we're looking at in this topic today. Am I really supposed to engage in every conversation? Am I really supposed to, go with my knife drawn and here I come with my opinion? Or also, do I have a responsibility to set things straight if I feel like I fall more on that side? Where are you at with this? I know where you're at. I kind of stated where you're at, but why do you take the position that you do of, I try not to get involved in these?
I guess I'll start for me personally. I want to have those hard conversations in person when I can look you in the eye and you can ask me, what do you mean by that? Where you can see my tone or my sincerity. And so for me, really, as a church, I don't tell my staff not to talk about politics. I ask them not to talk about it on social media. Now, again, you sit down, you want to sit down and talk about my politics, I will share with you where I'm at. And I think you, like, as a person, and I would say as a person, this is what I think, not as your pastor telling you how to vote, right? Like, this is where I'm at. But I think we can have those hard conversations, and politics isn't the only one, but we can have hard conversations in person, seeing our body language, seeing our tone, seeing if I'm pushing hard enough or not pushing hard enough that I can't have over a keyboard. And that doesn't matter if it's social media, if it matters it's email, if it matters it's text. Like, there's certain conversations I won't have over text. And then I've done premarital counseling and marital counseling where I tell couples not to have that conversation over text, right? You at minimum call, if not FaceTime, or you get in the same place and you have it. And I think really it comes down to that this isn't just about social media. It's like, how do I have conversations? You have conversations when you can see the tone, you can see the body language, you can see what's going on there in them in a more full and holistic way.
So why did you tell the staff that? Why did you tell the staff, hey, I'm going to ask you guys not to have political conversations over social media?
Yeah, because I think...
and I think everybody's respected that.
Yeah, I think because they can become divisive real quick and you hear what you think they're saying and not what they're actually saying. And in our roles, it's really important that we are clear. And because that we're heard in the correct manner. Because if you see me embodying one particular candidate that you don't like, sometimes you see me embodying all of them and not what I'm actually saying. And so we can have that conversation. Again, I've had those conversations where someone has seen me doing that, maybe even in a sermon. They're like, oh, you're being like this person. And I've been accused of that. And I say, well, let's slow down and have a conversation. And then we can have a conversation about it. You can see the holisticness of me is more than ever embodying one candidate. Like, even the most hardened on one side don't fully embody one candidate. Nobody does. We're all individuals. Like, nobody hook, line, and sinker believes everything that any candidate says. And so but when we post online, sometimes you see it and it's like, oh, I see this person posting that. They're totally lockstep with this person, right? And they're not. But we see that, and that's the problem kind of with social media is we categorize really quickly.
Now, we're not just speaking politically, just to clear the air.
It's just the easiest thing to talk about at some level.
It's true, yeah. But there seem to be so many hard discussions, and it seems that it's easier for people. Like you're saying, hey, I tell people not to have these discussions online or through text or whatever. But it seems that it's become a thing for people to have hard discussions or to go on TikTok and make a TikTok about what they're really frustrated about or whatever. Why is that? Why are we in a time where people are just loving doing that?
And let me back
Having
up.
A hard discussion.
Let me back up one thing with my staff. The reason I tell my staff that isn't that I don't want good Christians online posting stuff and having conversations. But the reason I tell them that is because the collateral damage of how I may affect a relationship that I have with a church member when my call is not to the wider world, but is first to my church. That's the struggle with it. And so as a member, if you feel strongly that I have a place, if I have a platform out there, I'm not saying that's dead wrong. I'm just saying for our church staff, our primary relationship with our people, if we can damage that by our posting on social media, that's when we need to be careful.
Right. You're saying Donna Patton gets on and she rages that if you're drinking strawberry milk, you are wrong.
Yep.
And chocolate milk is the way to go, which it is, by the way. Chocolate milk is the way to go.
Strawberry milk is weird. Can we just say that?
It is, and that's why I picked strawberry milk. But, and I'm drinking, and I'm pro drink chocolate milk, then that's going to hurt relationships that on a ministry level, not on a what kind of milk do you drink level, but on a ministry level that I may never be able to get back.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, hey, let's stay in this lane of ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And I need that from you guys.
Yeah, there's value there, but let's understand our first calling first. And it's first to our family, second to the ministry where we're called. But then again, after that, I think we are called to how do we make an impact in the wider world? And social media happens to be one of the places that we get to do that. And I think with that care and concern, you can begin to post and do that courageously and cautiously.
Yeah, and I think you're on point. My son has a previous pastor who tends to have chocolate milk discussions online, and he's said a few times, I don't really want to hear that from my pastor. I whether I agree or disagree, it isn't even the point, but I just don't feel like that's a conversation I want to hear. It's not his current pastor, it's past one. But I just don't want to hear that from them. Yeah. So it's interesting that you said that. I think it's really true.
Yeah, and it's to understand those initial primary relationships. But there's people that I know that post strongly and boldly, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But again, this is where I come down. Let's remember what's real and what's kind of fake. Can we be honest? Social media is kind of fake.
Right.
You create a fake persona. You only share the best pictures. Right? And so I would hate, this is my problem is when the fake world affects the real world. Right? When there's relationships that are severed because of stuff that was said online. Now, again, you can repair those. And beautiful picture. This was a number of years ago. We had people in our church that posted and they really offended each other online. And I saw the thread go down. And one of them called me and they're like, what do? I said, well, pick up the phone, better in person, but at least pick up the phone. Don't text it, but pick up the phone and say you're sorry because our relationship, what we think is way more important than our relationship. It was a beautiful thing and they reconciled and they had a great relationship after that. It was a beautiful thing. But what happened is that thing blew up on social media and they realized that what was said online in the fake world isn't as important as the real world.
Do you know what gets me is it's the period. I don't know if you've heard this, but we're in a culture right now where this generation doesn't use periods.
Okay.
So there's a person that I've sent text to, just normal text, and they'll be like, "Are you mad?" No, I'm not mad. I was just talking about the day. And they're like, "But you used a period." And I felt like you were kind of yelling at me when you used it. And I'm like, no, that's how mixed up things can kind of get right now.
Now I'm literally looking at my phone because I want to know like if I use punctuation in my text, and I don't always.
Oh, okay. See, you might be the generation.
Oh, and so this is fascinating.
That doesn't.
So I use question marks, but I don't use periods at the very end. I'll use them in the middle of sentences. But now again, for me, if you use one... But
I'm the generation that does.
If you use one with me, I don't get worried about it. I just don't use them.
Yeah, so I was having dinner with two 20-somethings this week, and the one 20-something is the one that keeps getting my texts and going, "Are you offended?" Yeah. And so they said, "Yeah, I just didn't know how to take that text you sent because you used a period." And the other 20-something goes, "When she does that, it drives me crazy because I think she's upset." And the other one goes, "Yeah, me too." And I'm like, "You guys,
funny.
I just use periods, right?"
Right.
So how this falls into this is kind of what you're saying is, we can offend somebody, or we can appear a certain way that we don't even mean because we just won't have the conversation. Yeah. We're having these battles online.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have my chocolate milk battle online.
No.
I want to love people well and have good discussions, but we can't even get to the discussions because we're having this whole thing
so
online.
Offended that we did or didn't use a period. Yeah. And I think that's the reality, is like how someone perceives it is important, right? Like if we're going to be Christ-like, how someone receives it is important. And so for us as Christians, like we have to be aware of that. And I wish there was a day where I could, post all of that and say all of that online, and it was safe and good and wholesome, but we're just not there. And so I guess, I keep coming back to like, let's not let what we post online affect our relationships in the real world. That's kind of I think that's my big thing here. And why sometimes, again,
And let's take even another step. How do we have conversations again? Mm-hmm. How do we make it okay to have conversations about hard things? Mm-hmm. I'm supposed to go. Jesus says, when your brother's offended you, then you go to him and you talk to him.
Don't just send an email or a text or post online about him.
Yeah. And can we just have hard conversations again in a room together? And maybe we don't both like chocolate milk, or we both don't like strawberry milk. Can't we just say, "Hey, we're drinking milk." There's that. But I want to understand what you love about strawberry milk.
Yeah.
And I want to understand when you first started loving it. And that doesn't mean I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
But we're just in this really hard, like you offended me and I'm so mad at you. And I just don't think that's the way God wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And definitely not in a public forum.
Yeah. And it's almost, I think sometimes we feel this pressure that we shouldn't. And that's being silent on a matter is affirming it. I think we're almost in that world that like if somebody posts something or somebody says something, that if I don't come, even sometimes in person, like if I don't come down and condemn exactly what they said, then I must agree with them, as opposed to saying like, now there's certain matters that I will say something, like when the gospel's at risk,
yes.
when some of the truth of Jesus' word is at risk. Like then there's times where I will say something, or I will, if somebody posts something and I see it, I may have a conversation with them in person about it. But just because I'm silent, doesn't mean I agree with them, and I don't have to. I come back to it's not on my shoulders to be God's lawyer, or be the truth police, or be the justice police, or the grace police, even, right? Like, my job is to, as I have opportunities, speak into people's lives that help them be more like Jesus, be approached by his truth and comforted in his grace. And how I do that, I have to navigate very cautious and carefully and shrewdly and boldly too. But all of it has to be a part of what we do.
Yeah, and who I honestly am. I've got a few good friends that we may drink different milk, right? I'm going to stay on that.
We're going to stay there, are we?
It's very non-committal, right? But I've said to them, hey, I would love to have this conversation with you and not argue. I want to understand what you're saying, but I also want you to understand what I'm trying to understand, and why I'm saying what I am. You just can't do that when you're raging, or you're frustrated, or you're upset, or you're trying to defend yourself in an online or texting conversation. I think it's good that we add that piece to it. Can we just get back in the room and talk?
Yeah.
Can we just start talking again? Yeah. And put pictures of our grandkids online, because that's what I'm getting.
That's what social media is supposed to be.
Yeah, let's just show our grandkids and our kids and our happy moments again.
Yeah. There's this. I don't know. Maybe this is a little bit of a tangent, but I thought it was an interesting verse. So this is Jesus. This is Matthew 12, verse 33, and I think to 35 I'm going to read. Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad. For a tree is known by its fruit. And then this is actually Jesus. He says, "You brood of vipers, how can you speak good when you are evil? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. The good person out of his good treasure brings forth good, and the evil person out of his evil brings forth evil." And so it's kind of that reminder for us as Christians that, like, what should be coming out of us is the good that's in the midst of us, the good that's embodied by Jesus. And so when we see a Christian puking bad online, or when we see a Christian puking bad over an email or over a text or whatever, like, we have to ask, like, what's going on? Why is the, and again, we're all sinners saying, why is the sinner part of you so recklessly taking over that it's showing that you have that evil inside of you? And so I think, like, the reality, I don't know, what that teaches me is that...
And again, you're not saying over strawberry milk or chocolate milk.
No.
You're not saying aside. You're saying when your frustration and your ugliness is kind of
just coming
out of you.
Yeah, and it might be coming out of you because you're actually worried about a legitimately Christian thing. Right? Like, it might be coming from a really good place, but the way that it's coming out is I don't know, Jesus seems to be coming after it. He seems to say, "You brood of vipers." Like, how can you be good when you are evil? Right? How can you speak good when you're evil? What's coming out of us should reflect the peace that we have in Jesus. And that's not to say that we can't say blunt, that we can't say something that offends people. But let's make sure if it's going to offend people, we're doing it because it's coming out of a place of good, a place of Christ-likeness, a place of humility, and a place of grace, that I'm putting the best construction on it and not just spewing whatever comes to my mind. And again, I think we can be bold in that. But we also have to be, I think, kind, to go back to that word, to be kind in that. Not nice all the time, but kind.
Yeah. And just so people understand, I mean, we really truly aren't just speaking about politics or some of the other tough topics that are out there. I've seen it even in my neighborhood social media.
Yeah.
A picture of somebody who's speeding through the neighborhood, not me. Picture of somebody who's speeding through the neighborhood. Whose kid is this and why? And they're railing. And I think those things can be done in a more positive. Still get the same thing across. Hey, my kid was out front playing and this car sped by and that was really dangerous, versus name calling and things like that just, I don't know. Sometimes I look on social media, I'm like, man, maybe I need to get off social media. I don't know.
Probably.
But there's not a good feeling. There's not a, I don't know, that we're all working towards the same not the same direction. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but that we're not trying to work towards a better solution. There you go.
Yeah, and I think I do want to go here, and this will, again, another tangent, but like, I think we got to ask ourselves the question too, is our use of social media making us into that good tree that bears good fruit? Or is it like making me into a more cynical and a more critical person? Like, I think we have to honestly ask that, because I think, I'm not sure that being in those dialogues that seem justified, that seem like I'm being righteous in this, I'm not always sure that's making us and the world into a better place. And that might be my argument too, is that if you don't find yourself becoming a better person on social media, is it worth spending all the time that you're there on? If you don't see the world becoming better because you're posting there, right, is that the place to waste your energy, right? Would it be better used talking with your neighbor or pouring into your kids? Or, right, are you a better mom because you're on social media, a better dad, a better husband, a better wife, a better friend, a better neighbor because you're on social media, right? Is that making you and the world around you better? Or are we just playing into this rage game and this hate game and this
rage baiting game?
Yeah, this rage bait and this negativity game. And so I think we have to have honest, and I don't know that I have full answer to that. I have my opinions that I think I just shared pretty honestly. My assumption is it's not making most of us into a better place. Like, if you haven't caught that, I'll just say it. I don't think it is. But I think we have to have discussions about that too. Like, I want to post truth on social media. I want to get good vibes out there. But am I able to? Like, is that where God has called me? And so for me personally, I don't...
Yeah, because there are some influencers that are doing it really well.
Yeah.
And they are... I was just met with somebody this morning, and they said that there was this pastor who prays online every morning, and he's just on point. And they sent me his link, which it's good to see that there are people doing the right thing. But does that necessarily mean that's a ministry that I'm called to? I'm not. I'm not really called to a social ministry, right? Social media ministry. But are you using the gifts God has given you where He's planted you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
Yeah, and I think that's important to understand. And if you're called there, you be intentional, but make sure you're sharing, I guess going back to this verse, make sure you're sharing the good fruit that's coming out of you, right? The good fruit that Jesus has placed there. Because it doesn't say, hey, you can, if you're good, you'll be able to try really hard and share good fruit. It says, no, it'll just come out of you. And so ask that question, is my social media post, go and scroll everything that you've posted, right? Is that embodying the good fruit that God said He's given you? And if it's not, right, there's probably some repentance. There's probably some, or go look at your history. What did you watch? Did what you watch embody you to share that good fruit, or did it show some bad fruit, right?
Yeah. Am I protecting my eyes? Am I protecting my heart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those things I think are important.
Wow. So we're going to close up right now because I'm going to go check my social media feed and see what I'm looking at and what I'm taking in. Now, it was a good discussion. I think it's really valid that we really need to be in check with what we're putting out there and what we're taking in. Yeah. And I love that good fruit. We want to give good fruit. We want to be good fruit for the kingdom. Great discussion today. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Have a great day.